Okay, good evening, guys. Am I audible to you?
Yes,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
audible.
Good evening, sir.
Okay, thanks for acknowledging back. So we'll just wait for a minute or two so that others can join in, and then we can start up with the process. So in the meantime, if anyone is having any query, whatever we did in the previous session, they can ask him. Like yesterday's session, if anyone is having any doubt or any sort of a query to anyone, they can ask that. Is there any query from anyone's side? There are any queries, you can bring it on. I hope everyone has like installed the software and all. And yesterday I have shared the programming file also. So guys, one thing, the Jupyter Notebook files cannot be opened directly. You cannot open those files directly. You are supposed to open these files with the help of Jupyter Notebook only, right? Like for example, let me just showcase you. Let's say I'm having some files available in here which are related to Jupyter Notebook, right? So I cannot open these files directly. What I have to do is I have to launch my Jupyter Notebook first. And from the Jupyter Notebook itself, I need to traverse to that particular part. Like that folder is over my desktop, so I will go to desktop. Let me just share my screen once. Is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So like here you can see I have certain files available out here, right? So I cannot access these files directly. So what I have to do is, means I cannot open it up. If I double click over it, it will ask me to have certain software. In my case, I'll not get that sort of error because I'm using VS Code. But if you have a Jupyter Notebook software available only, so in that case, you will be facing an issues like you'll not be able to open it up directly. So if you want to open a file directly, then what you have to do is you need to traverse to that folder through Jupyter Notebook, like desktop. And over desktop, I have these Python webinar folder. And within this, I have these IPYNB files available, right? Or if I say, if I talk about the yesterday file, that is bootcamp day 1. So I'll click over this and the file will get opened up. Right, so file has been opened and I can make the changes, whatever things I want to do, I can do in this file now. So this is how you access IPYNB file. So Jupyter Notebook files are IPYNB. IPYNB stands for Interactive Python Notebook. Interactive Python notebooks. So this is how we can access any particular file that we want to access to. Right. Now let's start with the things related to what we are going to do today. So let's have a quick overview of if-else conditions, and then we'll look at loops as well as functions. And then we will be proceeding with the modules part. So let's see how many things we can cover up in today's session. And then the rest of the things we'll try to cover up in tomorrow's session. Yes, Jake, what is your question?
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, can we have more than one value for a key in dictionary, sir?
More than
Dictionaries.
one value, you can have it in the form of a set or something. Means you need to have a collection of data there.
Achha. Collection means for one key, can I have values V1, V2, V3 like that?
The way I'm writing here, if I have key 1, colon, I need to provide a list or something.
Okay.
Right? I cannot say that let's say I have 5 here and 4 here. So K1 is actually pointing at both. I cannot do that thing,
Okay.
right? Because yesterday I told you keys are unique. The only way we can have both the values is I will store 5 and 4 in the form of a list or a tuple. And then I can basically access it using K1. Means let's say this is a dictionary A. Let me just create it here only. Let's say I create one dictionary A equals to, and within this K1 colon 3 comma 4, K2 colon 6. So this is my dictionary. Print A, I'll get this thing. Now if I access A of K1, right? So this will give me a list. This will give me a list. Now from this list, I need to extract a particular value. So from print A of K1. Now A of K1 is giving me this list. Now from this list, let's say I want to access 3. So square bracket 0. Because in list, we access values through indexing. So I can get that particular value. Right. This is basically if we have a more complex data in which inside a dictionary we have list and all, so we need to move one by one into the data. A of K1 will give me this list, and from this list I am accessing the 0th element. Right. So this is the possibility that we can have. I cannot write K1. Like if I try to do that thing, let's say I write K1 here also, then you will see that there will be only one key. This one is overwritten by this. Is it clear, Sheikh? Right, so that is how this thing can be done. I guess Sheikh is disconnected or what? His audio has been disconnected at the moment. So this is how we can do this thing particularly, right? So let's move on with the further things. Sheikh, is that clear to you?
1 minute, sir. Just I have disconnected. Let me see those.
If two keys have the same value, then
Okay.
it will have like this. But if I change this, let's say I make it as K2, then this is the dictionary. 3 and 4 are there. So if I access A of K1, it will give me the list. And from
Achha.
this list, I need to access a particular value.
Achha. Index. You have to give in some index 0, 1, 2, 3.
Basically,
Okay.
when we have a complex data, we need to enter each data step by step. Like first, this is the dictionary, right? The main data is dictionary. So if my goal is to access the value 4, I need to choose that which is the outermost data. Outermost data is a dictionary. So that means I can access any value with the help of key. So I have written key 1 because this is my target. 4 is the value I want to access, and my target is in key 1. So I access K1, I got this list. Now from this list, in list we have indexing. So 0 and 1. So A of K1 gave me this list. So A of K1, and from this list I am accessing the 0th element.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's fine. Thank you.
Right, that is how we can do it. Now let's move on to the if-else conditions. So let me just create another new file. And we'll quickly go through the if-else part. decision and flow control statements basically, as well as loops and all will be there. So the most basic command that we have is if command, right? So what we are going to do is we'll ask the user to enter their age equals to input, enter your age. And before this, I'll write int, because why I'm writing int here? And it will tell me why I'm writing int here.
The type of input we have to give is integer type, data type.
Yeah, basically we want to receive a value from the user, so we need to write int, integer value. Otherwise, the by default value would have been in string format. Enter age, and after that I'm writing if condition age is greater than 18 colon. So we have some operators available, operators like there are different operators available. Some of them are arithmetic operators. Arithmetic operators be like plus, minus, multiply, divide, modulus. So if you have done any other programming language before, then you would be aware of these arithmetic operators and one. So the difference between divide and modulus is divide basically give us the quotient. Like if I do 3 divided by 4 or 4 divided by 3. So it will give me the, if I write it like this, 4 divided by 3, then if I use this slash option, 4 divided by 3, the answer I will get is 0.75. And if I use 4 modulus 3, or sorry, this will be 3 divided by 4. And if I write 3 modulus 4, then the remainder I'm going to get is 0. So 3 is the remainder. Right. So this will be the answer in modulus case, and this will be the answer in division case. So these are arithmetic operators, some of the arithmetic operators. Other than this, we do have a double star also, which means raised to the power. Like if I write 3 double star 2, that means I'm talking about 3 square. Right, like this. Then aside from arithmetic operators, we also have some other operators like relational operators, which will help us to get the relation between the values like less than, greater than, less than, greater than, equals to, all these sort of operators. Comparison operators will be there, double equals to, not equals to, like that sort of a thing can be there. So I hope you are aware of these operators in general. So all these operators can be used in if-else conditions, loops and all. So if age is greater than 18, after that I have written colon. So this is the syntax for if block in this. Now in Python, we don't have curly brackets, right? We don't have these curly brackets. We have an indentation level. Let's say from the corner, some code is being written like this. So this is expected to be the main code or the main block of the code that we have. Then if certain code is from this indentation level, this will define a separate block of code. So this will be dependent upon the previous statement that is written out here. It could be a loop, it could be if else. And similarly, if we have a third indent level also, then that means that this particular block is dependent upon the last line of this particular block. Right. So in Python, we define a block of code with the help of indentation. That is the spacing from the left. And each indent level is basically of 5 spaces. 5 spaces. The moment you enter colon, it will automatically add on the space. Like if I press enter here, you can see the space is already there. So print not eligible for voting. Right. So if I run it, it will ask me to enter the age. I enter 5. Okay, this will be less than age less than 18. If I enter 5, then you can see not eligible for voting. But if age is more than 18, then nothing is happening, right? So this is the if condition, the basic if condition, which is generally used to check a condition. That's all. Means if certain thing is in favor, we will do something. That's all. But in actual scenario, we have if certain condition is in favor, we will do this. If not, then we will do this. Like for example, if I am tossing a coin, if the head appears, I will do certain task. Else, I will do the other task. Right? So age, let me copy this similar code. And this is if else now. If age is less than 18, this. Now, remember, I'll write down the else to the extreme left because it will be the part of the main block. Print eligible for voting. Not eligible. If I write more than that, you can see eligible for voting. Right, that is how this thing can be done. This was the normal if-else condition. Now, in this, you can write down as many statements you want. Let's say print not eligible for voting. That means you cannot vote. So you can have multiple values at the same indent level. Right? Is that clear to everyone? Yes, guys, is it clear to everyone? Anyone having any doubt? Okay, great. I guess this will be around. Now, the next thing that we have is elif condition. Now, elif condition basically means when we have more than two conditions or more than two cases satisfying a particular condition. Like let's say if I ask you what is a day today, so you can have the answers Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and so on. We have total 7 possibilities for it. But if I am about to toss a coin, then in that case, I have only 2 possibilities. Either it will be head, else something else. So normal if else condition is used when we have only 2 cases satisfying a particular condition. When we have more than 2 cases satisfying a condition, at that time we use elif condition. So in Python, we don't have else if, we have elif, ELIF. Right? Like let's write down, if I want to find out a great number, whether the number are equal or not. If not, then which one is greater? So let me enter 2 numbers, a equals to int. enter the number b equals to int the second number. Right, my both the numbers are available now. If a is greater than b, I'll print a is greater. L if. Now, because if I have two numbers, the maximum cases that can happen is a is greater, b is greater, or both are equal. So three possible cases are there. L if, after L if you need to write condition b greater than a, print b is greater. Else colon print both are equal. Right? Enter 5, other number as 8. Can see b is greater. If I run it again, 6, 2, a is greater. And if I enter both of them as equal, both are equal. Right? So in between, you can have multiple elif conditions as much as you want. If you want, you can have multiple elif conditions in between. Right? Now, in this case, we can also say that this else condition is basically your default case. We can also say that this is the default case. Now, what do you mean by default case? Means if none of these condition gets true, then else is the condition that will surely going to get executed. Is that clear? If none of these condition gets true, because these are the two conditions I have written, in front of else there is no condition being written. That means if this is the case gets satisfied, well and good. If this case gets satisfied, well and good. If none of these are getting satisfied, that means this is the final answer that we'll surely going to get. So we can also call it as a default case that we'll get. Is that clear? Yes, guys. Is it clear to everyone? Can I get acknowledgement?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now after this, we have nested if else. Right? Nested if else means in which we have one block if, then another if else is inside it. Right? So the existence of this block will depend upon the outer if else condition. Let me just write it in certain wordings that might get more clear to you. Like let's say if it is raining, right? If it is raining. Now, if my answer is true in this case, means yes, it is raining. So what I will do is, I will not go to mall, or I will not visit the mall, right? So if it is raining, I'll not go to mall. Else, now, if it is not raining, that means I will surely go to mall. Go to mall. Now the next question that may arise inside this is if bike is available. Means I am checking whether my bike is available or not. I'll go on my bike. Else I'll take public transport. Right, this is the thing that I have. Now, in this complete scenario, my first question is it raining? If it is raining, then I will not go to mall. This is very much clear. If the answer is true, I will not go. Else means if it is not raining, then the next question arises is whether my bike is available. If yes, I will go on my bike, else I will take public transport. Right? So what mode of transport I will select to visit the mall? The existence of this question depends upon the answer for the previous question. Are you getting this thing? Means whether I will go through public transport or whether I will go through my bike. This question will come into the picture only when it is not raining. If it is raining, I will not go to mall. That's all. Means I don't care whether my bike is available or not. I am not going to the mall. But if it is not raining, then the existence of second question comes into play, whether my bike is available or not. So when you have this sort of a way in which one if else block is dependent upon the answer of the outer if else block, this is known as a nested if else. Condition inside condition. Is that clear to everyone? Anyone having any doubt or any query over this? Okay, so now let's code it. Like we'll code this example further. Now let's try to guys, just give me 1 minute. I'll be back. Just 1 minute. Yeah, sorry for the interruption, guys. I'm just having one important call. So if A is greater than B, print A is greater. Now what I'm trying to do is I'm checking whether A is an even number or odd number. If A modulus 2 equals to 0, print A is even, else print A is odd. So what I'm trying to do is I'm checking which is the greater number, and then after checking which is a greater number, I am checking whether it is even or odd. The same thing, I'll copy it and I'll write for B. But in this case, what I'll try to do is I'll check it for B now. So enter the number, let's say 5. If both are 5, then both are equal. We are not checking which is even, which is odd. You can see A is greater, A is odd. A is a odd number that is available. right? So that is how this nested if else work. Is that clear to everyone now through code also? Or anyone have any queries? Yes, guys, is it clear to everyone? Okay, great. So how many of you are doing the live coding with me? How many of you are writing down the code side by side? Is there anyone writing down the code side by side, or all of you are just viewing at the moment? Okay. So many of you are also writing it side by side, right? Great. Just a second, guys. Now, Habiba, you have some doubt or you have some query? Okay, now let's move on to the next thing. That is, we have completed if else part. Now let's move on to the next thing, that is loops. So can anyone tell me what do you mean by loops in programming, and why do we require loops? Yes, can anyone of you answer this? What do you mean by loops in programming, and why do we need loops? To repeatedly execute some part when we need some statement again and again. Just open the chart here, the screen. Okay, when we need some statement again and again, that time we need looping. Okay, so few of you have written this. So basically, when we are looking into repeat a certain task, at that time we basically make use of loops. Means a certain task is supposed to be repeated at the same instance. At that time, we are going to use the loops. So there are generally two type of loops we have. One is for loop, another one is while loop. Right. So let's talk about for loop first. And before moving into that, can anyone tell me what are the initial things that are required for writing down any loop? There are three things that are required for writing down a loop. Can anyone tell me that? Initialize.
Logical operators.
Utkarsh, can you repeat it?
Logical operators, sir.
Logical operators. No, that is not the mandatory thing, I would say. Loop variable, initialize, and iterator, condition to end loop. Right. So the first thing that we may need is initialization. We need to initialize the loop. Then the second thing we may need to have is stop condition. Because loop is repetition of task. So when you will start repeating, or from where you will start repeating, then to what extent you need to repeat, then we have is update command. If you don't add on an update command or update condition or command, we can say, if we don't have the update command, then the loop will never get executed or will never get completed. Right, so initialize, it starts from here, it tries to reach the stop condition, and update command help us to reach to the stop condition. Like for example, let's say all of you were supposed to join the session at 4 p.m, right? So 4 p.m is initialization. Now the ending condition would be 6 p.m. When time is 6, we need to wrap up with the session. Now, in case if we say the time does not increase, if there are like current time is 4:43, within a minute it will become 4:44. So if it was not supposed to increase per minute, then from 4 to 6 we can never reach that, right? We can never say that the 6 p.m. will be there and we can close the session. So update command, in this case, per minute update is happening. That is very much necessary. If that does not happen, then the loop will never end, because the starting and ending condition, starting is initialization, 4 p.m. is done. But let's say if my laptop, if I don't have any clock available with me, only laptop is there, and my laptop time gets stuck. It's not showing any sort of a time, like let's say 10 p.m. is there. 4 hours 10 minutes is there, and it stops. After that, I will just keep on like doing the session, conducting the session out here, and I'll not be aware of the time. Even after 6 also, I'll see the clock and it will be just showing 4:10. So I might say that, okay, only 10 minutes have been gone and I still have a lot of time to continue with it. So in case of loops, initialization will be done once. Then after that, update and the condition is the main thing that will get checked again and again. Like how it will be working is, I'll explain it again in a moment. So loops, for loop is generally used for traversing or iteration. So how to write it? For, let's say, let's create one chocolate. For I in X, print X. Print I, sorry. For I in X. So I in X means first I will become C, then I will become H, then I will become O, I will become C, then O, complete up to E. So one by one, I will be getting the value of all these things. So when we are using the for loop for iteration purpose, then in this case, the update command is one step each. It will automatically update it, and it will start from the first character or the first element, and it will keep on moving till the end. So for I in X, print I. Now all these characters are printed one by one, because in Python, print statement have one parameter which is known as end. There is one end parameter in Python in print statement, which is by default /n. This value is /n by default. So because of this, when you have multiple print statements coming, automatically each thing will be moved to the new line. Like if I show you here, print shift plus tab, then you can see value sep end equals to /n. So the by default value for this parameter is /n. If we change it, end equals to space or without space, then the entire answer can be written like this. If I add on a space, then space will be there after each character. Right. So this is how we can implement the for loop. You can do the same for a list also, or a tuple, as well as dictionary. chocolate, and in this I'll write, let's say, kiwi, mango, orange. For I in Y. Instead of I, you can write down anything you want. Print Y. Sorry, I. You need to write this variable here. If you write Y, then it will print the list only 3 times. So here you can see I becomes kiwi first, then it becomes mango, and then orange. Similarly, if we have a dictionary, now in this case, when in case of dictionary, it is actually printing the keys of it. Now it's your task to tell me how I can print the value. Can any one of you tell me how I can print the values of this?
I dot value.
Is how I can do that?
We can write I dot value.
I dot value. This thing?
Value, sir, value.
But it shows error.
Value S.
S also. In this case, we need to basically, what is I? I is basically having the value, like they are having the key. I is becoming kiwi and mango. So what I'll do is Y of square bracket I. This is one method I can do. So you can see this. Y of I means Y of kiwi. When I is kiwi, then I am actually accessing Y of kiwi. So Y of kiwi is basically 4. Then in next step, Y of mango. So that's why it is giving 7. Is that clear to everyone? Is that clear, guys, how we are accessing that value? Okay, great. Now, after this, we have, sir, can you repeat? Satyanarayan, how we can access the value here? How to access a value of any dictionary? We have to do it like this, right? Dictionary name, the key that we want to access. So the I is actually becoming the key here. Like if I remove this, you can check the value of I. You can check value of I is kiwi. So when I will write this thing, Y of kiwi, then Y of kiwi will actually give me the corresponding value, right? 4, because I am writing a dictionary name and the key available in that. So I'll get the corresponding value for it. Right, okay, Anupama was asking. Anupama, is it clear to know, you now? Anupama, is that clear? Okay, great. Now the next thing that we can have is while loop. For loop can be used for conditions also. While loop can also be used. So now let's look at while. While, let's define I equals to 0. while I less than 10 colon. Print I. Now this is the part of my loop that I am doing. Hello. And then I equals to I plus 1. You can see it is 0 till 9 and hello is getting printed. Now, how it is actually working, let me just give you a brief about it. I is 0, right? Then after that, I less than 10, this is the initial condition. This is the stop condition and this is the update command. So I less than 10, it checks that I less than 10, yes. It comes inside, this is the body of loop, print I comma hello. So it prints I is 0, hello. Then it becomes I becomes 1. Then it moves back to the checking condition. Is I less than 10? Yes. Comes inside, prints I 1 comma hello. Then I get incremented, I becomes 2. Then again it moves out, checks whether this condition is true. Yes. It comes inside I 2 comma hello and so on. This process continues up to 8. Now, after 8, the I becomes 9, it moves out, checks 9 less than 10, yes, print 9 comma hello. So it prints this. Then I becomes 10. After 9, I becomes 10. Now when I becomes 10, it moves out, checks the condition, it is false. So at that time, the loops gets completed. Right? So it starts from 0 and it goes I less than 10 till this condition is true. We will execute this loop. Is that clear to everyone? Is that thing clear to everyone, while part? Now, if I write here as while 1, if I write it like this, then that means that it will always remain true. I have written a constant number here, it will remain true. So this thing we will see in the project part also, because in that we need to keep running our voice assistant as long as we are running the program. So in that case, we will use this while loop. While 1, which is also known as infinite loop, means for infinite time it will keep on running. Now there are certain methods that can be used, like break and continue statement, which can be used to stop any loop. So let's just copy this. Now let's talk about the break condition. If I equals to 5 colon break. Now what it does is, the moment this condition gets true, Tanima, you might check this code whether you have written it in like this manner or not. The loop is not stopping, it is running for infinite times with only one result 0. I guess you have not written this condition in that. That's why it is going infinite loop. Just check this part. I equals to I plus 1 should be in the same indentation level. Because this cannot go into the infinite loop part. You can just restart the kernel and retry it again then. Because by the logic and the syntax in this case, you cannot go into the infinite loop because there is no certain mistake like that to go it into infinite loop. Because here you can see my kernel is also completed. If it was an infinite loop, then this would have been darkened. I'll show you that infinite loop case also. Just a minute, I'll show you that once we talk about continue. If I equals to 5, break. Now what it will do the moment we will meet this condition, it will stop the loop. So you can see this, the moment that's not a issue IPy kernel, because in the latest one, the general like they don't have this Python 3 written here. It's generally IPy kernel written over that position. Right? So this break condition will actually break down this loop at that moment itself. Now the other thing we have is continue statement. So for continue, we will move this print I hello part to this after this part. Break statement stops the entire loop at the moment condition is being met. So we use break conditions whenever we have certain flags in our program raised, so that if the condition becomes true, we may stop our program at that time itself. Let's write continue here. Now continue basically skips a particular iteration. Means when I is 5, continue means at that time the loop will not work. Whatever the things are supposed to be executed inside the loop, we are skipping that. So you can see the output. 1, hello. Kiran Kishore, I guess this loop you are running, just stop your kernel from here once and then try it again, because there might be chances you have run like executed this input function and it is not coming out of that till now. So you can just restart and clear output and run that loop part again. Right, so this is how the continue will work. There is no iteration for fifth part. You don't have to write y dot values, Shailendra. You have to access a particular thing. If you write y dot values, it will write this only. Y dot value means you are printing the list of all the values in that. That's why that answer is correct. Dict values 1, 2, dict values 1, 2. That's correct. You are supposed to write it like this. Y of I. You have to write it like y of I. Here. Instead of I, you need to write y of I. If you write y dot values will give you the list of all the values contained in the dictionary. It has nothing to do with the loop. So if you are running that command inside the loop, it will print it multiple times only. Now this is the continue statement part. Now let me show you. Yes, if you write down here multiple things, then you can do that part. You can skip multiple values. You can use OR command, OR and logical operators in between, and you can skip multiple values. Now we see here inside the loop, the first part it did is incrementing. That's why when I was 0, it entered inside the loop, I became 1. And after that, the print condition is there. So that's why 0 is not getting printed. Whereas in the previous case, the first line was print I, then increment command was there. Here, the first command is increment, then print. So because of the order of the commands, this is the thing that we are getting. So in loops, order of the statements that you are writing, that should be taken care of. If I write print I before this, then it will print 0. Like, let me show you. But in that case, it will skip 5 in that part. So that's why I have written it here. Is that clear, Naveen? Now, while using continue statement, you need to take care that you do not end up with an infinite loop. The reason for that is, like, see this thing now. I'm just copy pasting it. See now, it shows star, nothing is getting printed, and this ring is also busy now, kernel busy it is showing. So I got trapped into infinite loop. Can anyone of you explain me this thing that why we are trapped inside infinite loop at the moment? _121, whatever your name is. In this, we are not executing while one. There is proper syntax written here, but still I am not getting any answer in this.
Sir, when I becomes 5, so it will stuck in a infinite loop. Why? Because I is not incremented. This continuous statement will take into that infinite loop.
Yes.
When I becomes 5, that is the problem.
Correct. Basically, what is happening when I becomes 5, because of this continuous statement, it goes out. Then it again comes inside I is still 5, because we are not able to reach this I equals to I plus 1 command. Right? So that's why we are stuck in this loop only. It goes out, comes inside, goes out, comes inside, and this thing. It is not able to reach out to the update command. That's why this ends up into an infinite loop. So whenever you are using continue statement, make sure the update command is written before it in general, right? Because this can be really like, it can create a lot of issues if you are working with file handling and all, where you are creating certain data or file with the help of loop. Because infinite loop may end up creating a large data out there, and it will lead to the memory consumption as well as the storage and all. Right, so to overcome this, we need to interrupt it. Kernel gets interrupted. Right, so with this, it completes the part for the loops and all. Anyone have any doubt or any queries they can ask in? Yes, anyone have any query?
Sir, please explain how it get into infinite loop.
Okay. Guys, we are taking a 2-3 minutes break. So if anyone wants to have a break, in the meantime, I'll just explain the continue part. So we'll just resume with the further things at 5:10 or 5:12, right? So in the meantime, I am explaining this infinite loop to the others. Those who want to have a break, they can do that. Like in this case, what happens is when I is 0, it checks the condition I less than 10. It comes inside. When I is 0, it enters the loop, right? Enters the loop, checks the condition. Nothing is there because it is not true. It prints it. So we get the answer. Then I become 1. Then it moves outside, checks. This condition is not true. Comes here, prints it. Similarly, it will keep on going. Then it will print 4, hello. I will become 5. It will work till I is 3, 4. It will work. The moment I becomes 5 now, right? I becomes 5. It comes inside. If I equals to 5, condition is satisfied. If condition is satisfied, continue statement gets executed. It will take back to the condition checking point. So now it checks I less than 10, true. It again comes inside. I is still 5 because we were not able to reach this point. So again it checks, goes to continue, then moves out. Then again it comes inside. I is still 5, continue. So the loop gets stuck in this upper 2 statements only. It is not, because unless and until this condition becomes false, we will not be able to move down the order, right? Because this condition is true, that's why we are not able to move out of it. So we always write down these things before it in general. Or what you can do is, if I equals to 5, in this you can basically increment it, write I plus equals to 1 in this, and then continue. In that case, we can end up with a normal execution. Is that clear now? How we are ending up with it? Yes, guys, is it clear? I haven't noticed the name of the individual who has just asked this query.
Yes,
So
sir.
I hope, is it clear? Utkarsh, is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone have any other query? Okay, then let's start with the functions part now. So what do you mean by functions in programming? Can anyone tell me that? Yes, can any one of you tell me what is functions in programming? Why do we need it? Piece of code that performs a task so that you don't have to write the same code many times. Okay. Okay. Building block of code for avoiding repetition. Yeah. So like functions, if I define it in simpler terms, we can say it as a set of or a group of like what happens is it is a group of it is a set of statements grouped together in order to perform a specific application, right? Like functions will always be constructed when you have certain application to be executed first thing. You cannot just club on the random statements and you say we have a function. No, we do it on purpose. Let's say I'll give you an example and I hope that will clarify what functions and programming are, and that we're never going to forget about that. Now, let's say in my code, I am writing down, I have to calculate percentage. And this thing requires 3 lines of code. And this thing has to be done at least 3 to 4 times in my code. I have to calculate the percent 3 to 4 times. Now almost it requires 10, 12 lines of my code for calculating the percentage. Right, at different instances, I am supposed to calculate the percentage. Now in this scenario, what will happen is, I'll create one, I'll club these 3 statements together out here and I'll give it a name as purse. I'll give it a name as purse. Now, whenever I have to use these 3 set of lines, instead of writing them again, what I'll do is, I'll just simply call this function purse. That's all. Again, call it like this. Right. So instead of writing down these things, I'll just simply call my function that has been created. So now the same task can actually be executed in 7 to 8 lines of code, which was getting executed in 12 lines. Right. So we have reduced the repetition of lines as well as we have shortened down the code and it becomes more easy to read. Now, this was in an aspect of a coding style, right? Now, let me just give you correlated with a real world example, how function actually works. Let's say I am hiring an employee in my company, or let's take an example of a garage. So if a newcomer comes to a new joinee is there, so the manager of that garage or the workshop will actually give some training to that guy, that how you are supposed to do the servicing of a car, right? So just like a function, when we create a function, we give the instructions that what that function has to do. Similarly, when a new employee is there, the manager will give the training. The manager will train that guy. Right? Just like when we are creating functions, we write the instruction that what this function has to do. Now, after 2 days or 2-3 days, we can say this individual is ready. If a client comes to get his car serviced, then what simply will do is the client will actually pass on the keys of the car to that new employee, means the worker out there. And this new employee knows what it has to do. It will execute the regular task, like checking the oil, checking the air pressure, and will return the car keys to it after servicing it. Just like in functions case, once the function is created, we will just call the function. We will call the function. The control of the program will move to those 3 lines. It will execute it. After execution, it will return to the very next line after the function call statement. Right? Then it will execute the normal process again. When function call is there, then again it will move to the control to the here, execute it completely and return back to the very next line. Just like in this case, once the training is completed, then no matter who is coming in, this individual knows his work, that what he is supposed to do. He'll just simply, the client who is coming to get his car service will just provide the car keys. He knows what he has to do. He will execute the things. That's all. That's how function actually works. Now, sometimes function receives some values. Now, if we relate it to the real world, what it can be, this client can give an input to the individual that, okay, back seat of my car is quite dirty. Kindly clean it. So this client has given one input. Now the execution of this employee means he has to do the servicing. He'll do the servicing normally, but taking the instruction of the client in consideration. He'll take care of the input that was given by the client. So similarly, the function will execute in a normal way, taking care of the value that has been passed to it. Right? So whatever value we will pass, it will take it into consideration in the execution of it. So that's what values or parameters are which we pass to the functions. Is this clear now to everyone what are functions in programming and why we are using it? Yes, guys, is it clear to everyone? Okay, great. So now let's create some functions. Def is the command which is used for creating function. Def function colon, and here we write down the arguments. Now arguments and parameters are two words that are being used interchangeably for like in our case we can use that interchangeably, but for function those two things are a bit different. One is that appears in the definition, another one is the one which is passed by the user, but we as a developer we can say both are the same things in our aspect, so we don't pay much attention to it out there, but in general for functions both are different stuff. So let's create a function now. Let's create a simple function. There are two types of functions in general. One is user-defined function, which the users will create. Another one is inbuilt functions. Inbuilt functions like print command, type, all these things that we have used. Sorry. All these things like functions we have used earlier on, type, command, print, and all these are inbuilt functions which are already available in Python. So let's create a function, a simple function, def text or def message colon, and we are not accepting any value, simple hello world. This is our function. Done. Now to run execute it, we need to call it as message like this. This is a function call statement. Right. So we'll execute it and it will execute whatever is written inside the function. So again, indentation is there. Whatever will be written inside this will be a part of function at this indent level. Hello world. Similarly, let's say we create a function which will accept a message from the user. So for that, we need to add on text, print text. This is my function. Now I'll ask the user to answer this. So let's say input, enter your custom message, and we'll save it in MSG. MSG equals to this, and after that message, the function name basically, and in this we will pass MSG. So now what will happen is this MSG will actually get copied into text. So whatever MSG was there for my main program, this will be known as text in my this program, right? So def message Python bootcamp. So you can see it is printing Python bootcamp. You can just to get it better. My text is or my custom message is comma text. Right, my custom message is Python bootcamp. Is that clear? So this is where we are accepting a single value from the user. Now what we can do is we can basically accept on multiple values also. So let's create a diff. Let's say, let's have this only. Or let's create one function diff info name comma gender comma age. So this is my new function that I have. We have three values in it. Print my name is comma name, print my age is comma age. Print my gender is comma gender. Right, these this is my function. Info, I'll pass on the values to it. Hexen bit 7, 10. Okay. Let's say male. So now if I run it, you can see my name is hexen bit, my age is male, my gender is 7. Now in this scenario, what happens is if we skip on a particular value, info, let's say I just passed on a name to it, hexen bit, that's all. Then it will throw error. Info missing 2 required positional arguments, gender and age. My function is telling me that you have only passed one value. You are actually missing 2 of them, gender and age. So it will throw error. And in case if I pass on more than the required values, let's say after this I write down female, the 4th value basically, then also it will throw error. Info takes 3 positional arguments, but 4 were given. So it will again throw error. Right, so that means we are supposed to pass on same number of values as required. After this, the next thing that we have is default arguments, which can actually help us to overcome this scenario. Let's copy this function. And now I'll pass on certain values. Anonymous, name equals to anonymous, gender equals to unknown, age equals to unknown. So these are by default values I will provide if I run it. And now if I call info without passing a single parameter even, you can see it is working. Right, it is working. So that is how this thing actually works. Now, if you want to overwrite it, you can overwrite it by passing on the name. Rest of the things it will consider automatically. You can pass on the entire info also. Now in this thing, you may notice one part that by mistake I have written that though, but still I have to come to that point. My age is female, my gender is 9. Right? So what happens is these values goes in order. Hexen bit will go to first, 9 will go to gender, female will go to third, age. So this goes in order. That's why my age is female and my gender is 9. So this is also another problem that we need to maintain the order of values for that. So if I write it like comma 9, this will fall fine. Right. But another way to overcome this thing is info using the keyword arguments. Keyword arguments. While calling the function, like for example, in this case, if I write, let's say I don't want to change the name, I just want to change age of it. I cannot do that thing. Whatever I will write, it will go to name only. Like you can see, my name is 9. I cannot change anything else because first thing will go to name itself. So I cannot do that directly. To overcome this, we have keyword arguments. So in this, I will write age equals to 9. You can see my name is anonymous, my age is 9, my gender is unknown. Right, means I can pass on the keyword. Now these keywords needs to be same as that are used in definition, name, gender, age. So you can use these keywords and arrange them in any order you want. Is that clear to everyone? Yes, guys, is it clear? Okay. Now the next thing is function returning a value. Can anyone tell me why do we need to return a value from a function? Yes, can anyone tell me that? Why do we need to return a value from function? If we calculate a value, then it will be returned. If we calculate a value, then why do we need to return it?
If we call a function which will calculate a particular value in that program, so that value can be used later in that program. That's why we are calling the function.
Yes. So basically what happens is, in order to use that particular thing, I need to total equals to a plus b, print total. Like for example, I did this. Now this is my function that I have done. Let's create it. In my main program, I want to someone 5, 6. Now in my main program, I want to calculate the 5% of this total. Print 0.05 into total. If I try to do this, you can see it is showing me error, name someone is not defined. Here you can see name total is not defined. 11, I got this function, the answer is there, but the error is in this statement, 0.05 total is not defined. So remember this thing, whatever happens inside the function remains inside the function. We'll never get it outside directly, right? So now to access it in our main program, I have to return this value. And when you return a value, it becomes mandatory for us to store it. Because if we don't store the value, then again it will be lost. So int object is not iterable. Shashank, you are trying to do the indexing of an integer value. Means you might have some variable and you are using index with it. That int object is not iterable. You can, or you are doing it like this. Sorry, this is subscriptable part. Int object is not iterable means you are for I in, you might be having some integer value here that over which you are trying to loop over. Name total is not defined. So what I'll do is I'll save it into C. C equals to sum, and here I'll return it, return total. Now in my main program, instead of total, I'll write C. Shashank, I'll check the code just a second. So here you can see I'm getting 0.55. Right, so I'm getting the answer here. Whatever value of return total was, it got saved in C. And with the help of C into 0.5, I can access it now. Right, so that's what function returning a value is. Right. Now, after this, there's something scope of variables in functions. I'll get to that point if required in the code. So it might not be required in the code though. So in case if it is required, I'll come to that point. Now, the next thing that we are going to talk about is modules. Anyone have any doubt till this point, till functions? Anyone have any query? Does anyone have any query? Okay, great then. So now let's talk about modules. What modules and packages are basically? It's basically a sort of codes that are pre-written or written by the users, which we can import in our code whenever required. So it's more of like a collection of functions or set of classes and objects, variables created, which we can import at any time into our code to perform certain application. Now there are three types of modules that we have. First one is inbuilt modules. Second one is user-defined external modules. Third one is inbuilt. Right, so inbuilt modules are those modules which are already available in Python. Means once you install the package, they are already there. Like there is time module, there is math module, OS module is there. A lot of modules are there which are inbuilt modules. Means you don't have to download them. Once you install the package, they are already available. All you need to do is import the module and use it. External modules are those modules which you need to download externally. because of which we yesterday I discussed about Anaconda intro. In that also I told you that sometimes we need to install certain modules. So external modules are those which are supposed to be downloaded. Inbuilt modules are those. So this one is user defined. User-defined modules are those which are created by the user, like user-defined library in C++ and all we make. Means let's say I created one code of calculator. I created one code calculator, and in that I have plus, minus, and all operations functions being created. What I can do is in my project 2, I can simply import this file and I can use plus, minus, division functions directly. Right, that is what user-defined modules are. Now there are certain ways to do this. First way to import any command is import module name. Right, this is the first way. Import module name as alias name. This is the second way we can do that. Now in both these, alias name basically means in case if your module is having a large name, you can just shorten it up with the help of alias name. So in these two cases, we need to access any function or variable with the help of the module name. Module name dot the function that I want to call. Right, like this, in both these ways. Like if you are having alias name, you can use the alias name dot function or variable, whatever you want to have. Another way is from module name import star. In this case, the entire code or the entire things, functions and all will get loaded up into the memory. This is not a recommended way because it loads up the memory with the entire code of that module and makes the memory utilization more. So because of that, it will slow down the things also. So that's why this is not a recommended way in general. Or the another way is from module name import the function that we want to import only. And in both these cases, we can simply access any function in the modules with the help of direct function name. Right, so these are some of the ways how we can import any module. Import module name as alias name, import module name, and then from module import star, from module name import function. These are some of the ways we can opt in for importing any particular part. Now, external modules are basically downloaded from pypi.org. Yesterday, I don't remember the name, someone from your side has asked this thing to explain more about pypi.org. So let's see about this particular thing now. So this is basically the Python package index. Over this, lot of community distributors, or we can say the contributors more specifically, contributes to the community by uploading the modules and all that their company or they are creating individually. So there are a lot of modules available over this. All you need to do is think, like if you have certain application in mind, you can think of certain part that you want to execute. You can try checking this pypi.org. Whatever modules are available to that particular aspect, they'll showcase you that over here. Or you can also Google it. But over Google also, the starting links always you will get is from this website only. So we can make use of pip commands. Now pip commands are generally used to download the files. Right, if you want to download any file from this, if you want to download the modules here, then we need to use pip install command. pip is basically the installation manager in Python generally being used. Like if I show you pip, it's basically a sort of a code file that is available which fetches the files automatically. So package installer for Python is basically going to help us to manage the files that are available, like depending upon to upgrade, to install, all these things can be done with the help of pip command. Right, so we are going to use some external modules. For that we will be using this pip command only to download these files. Right, so this was a brief about modules and all. Now let's move on to the application part of the things that we are supposed to discuss. Now, whatever we have done, that was the basic that will be used into the project making. Now, one by one, whatever the time allows us to discuss today, we'll discuss of the applications of it. So let me just open one presentation once. Okay. So building up a personal voice assistant using Python. So this building up a personal voice assistant consists of a multiple, guys, is this screen visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So building up a voice assistant consists of different parts. It is not something that we'll just simply write a code and it will do this part. There are different sort of processes that are included in it. So the first thing, that most basic thing, is text to speech technology is used in it. Then speech recognition is used. And after that, once we are familiar with these two technologies, we can embed them in the form of a personal voice assistant, right? So we'll discuss about these technologies one by one. So text to speech technology. Can anyone tell me what do you mean by text to speech technology? Or what is this process, text to speech? Any idea to anyone? What is text to speech? Yes, guys, any idea to anyone what is text to speech? Text input will be converted to speech. Text is going to be converted into some voice commands, right? So can any one of you tell me the applications of it? Where do we have this text to speech? Okay, great. Alexa is there. What else? Google Assistant. Translation. Okay, what else? So guys, text to speech technology is basically used like wherever you get an automated sort of a sound. In most of the aspects, we are having this text to speech technology, because like even if we are using Google Maps and all, it basically tells us the navigation, right? Like you need to move to right direction, after take right after 300 meters or 3 kilometers, like that sort of a thing. So that is again the machine or that software is actually fetching up a written detail which is converted into speech. Then Google Assistant and all, like when you use search by voice option. So when you search by voice, or even if the other one also, then if the results are available, then it will speak up. You got 10 results for your search, like that sort of a thing. That is what text to speech is. So text to speech technology reads aloud the digital text. In this, the text file, you can have a single line of text, you can have a complete text file. It will be converted into a speech. It can take words on computer, smartphone, tablet, and convert them into audio. Also, all kind of text files can be read aloud, including the word pages, a complete document you can read. And Python comes with a lot of handy and easily accessible libraries for this process. Python text to speech, there are a lot of libraries that can be used for it. One of them is Google text to speech, commonly known as GTTS API, Google text to speech API. It is very easy to use library which converts the text entered into the audio file, like whatever, which converts the text into an audio file. Matlab aap, whatever text you have written, it will convert to that audio file. MP3 file will be created of the things that you want to convert. And it supports several languages, and speech can be delivered in one of the two available audio speeds, fast or slow. We can select the speed also. Another one is PyTT-SX3. PyTT-SX3 is also an offline alternative for Google text to speech. Like GTTS library requires active internet connection for doing this sort of, like, it will convert that and download it automatically and save it. So that thing requires active internet connection. Whereas PyTT-SX3 is an offline one. And in this case, it can convert the text into speech on the fly. On the fly or on the go, we can say. Without saving any MP3 file, I can actually convert any text into speech with the help of PyTT-SX3. Right? So we will be learning about these libraries. We'll see how we can use it. Though for our use case, the project PyTT-SX3 is the main file that we'll be using. GTTS will be there. I'll just give you a brief about it, how to use it, so that you can work over it in future if you want. But in this case, MP3 file is being generated, so that's why we are not using it directly. Then area of applications of text to speech. It is developed to aid the visually impaired by offering a computer generated spoken voice that would read the text to the user. So these days you might have noticed navigation systems and all are being created for blind people with the help of this sort of technology available, like they will get navigated with the help of it. Tablets and smartphones usually have built-in text-to-speech features. The software reads the text file and the name of the programs or folder when pointed at on the screen, or can read certain web pages aloud. So these days you will find out over websites and all this application, like they have this sort of application. If there is a play button over some websites, if there are blogs being written, they have a play button. If you click over it, it will start reading the things related to that particular part, right? Then text to speech are often used as OCR also. OCR is a technology which basically scans the printed material into computer or a handheld unit and converts it to the digital text. These are also known as OCR devices. And people who have literacy issues, those trying to learn another languages, often gets frustrated trying to browse the internet because of text is confusing. So again, at this point also, TTS can be helpful. Or another applications could be like, if you have heard about those audio books available in the market, when you just open it up, certain or the audio pens are also available. When you just move a pen over the books and they automatically start reading it. So those are with the help of OCR and all, reading pens, like holy books as well as some story books are available in that pattern these days, available in the market, right? So that is what the area of application for text to speech is, right? I hope that is clear to everyone. Now, after this is speech recognition. So speech recognition is something which is the opposite process of it, where a speech will be converted into text. Means whatever we are saying, that will be converted to text. So it is a process of recognizing the voice and representing in textual manner. In today's fast moving world, speech recognition is useful in many aspects. So Python comes with a lot of libraries like Wit and Py offer built-in features, natural language processing and all. Other Google Cloud Speech focus solely on speech to text. There is one more package that stands out in this particular part is speech recognition. So we will be learning about the speech recognition. Our focus will over this particular module. And this will help us to recognize the speech that whatever we are saying, it will try to understand it. So in this case, we are not basically the speech recognition systems are being created. These are the libraries available. We will learn how to use them. We'll not be creating our own speech recognition out here, right? So recognizing speech requires audio input, and speech recognition makes retrieving this input really easy. So instead of writing down our codes, we'll simply import this module and we are going to use it easy to go. Then the area of applications for speech to text recognition is like whatever things we see, like search by voice option over YouTube, Google. These days you see a lot of advertisement of Google over television also, where they are using that Google Assistant sort of a thing, and they are trying to get the access to certain queries that they are having. So that is the best part. These days text, whatever you are speaking, getting converted over keyboards and all. Also, you have these features like where you just open up a keyboard, there is a button out there, whatever you speak up, even in Microsoft Word and all these documents, they have this feature now. Like by clicking certain commands, you can integrate this particular voice to take us speech to text process, and you can convert out those things accordingly. Right. So these are the application areas of both the fields. Now let's see how we are going to implement these things one by one. So first, we are going to discuss about the Google text-to-speech. So now I'll not be writing down the code side by side because the codes will take much more time to write it down. I'll share on these files if you want. You can write down the code side by side. I'll be explaining you of the things, and I'll share these notebooks with you so that you can implement those things as per the requirement. Right. So how to download this particular module is using exclamation pip install GTTS. You have to write it like this: exclamation pip install GTTS. This will be the command that you are supposed to run. I already have it, so I'm not executing it. In Jupyter Notebook, you need to use this exclamation mark because Jupyter will use the external shell for downloading it, Python shell. So we need to have exclamation mark. Otherwise, you can also do it using CMD. If you have added on the Python in the path, Python variable in the path, then you can simply open CMD and write down this command. That will also help. So you guys can run this command. Meanwhile, just try to install it. And if anyone is running live at the moment, any one of you can acknowledge me that whether it gets down. For this, you need active internet connection in your system. So it will automatically fetch this value from the pypi.org. So please try this command, guys. Exclamation pip install GTTS. And do acknowledge me if anyone is able to install this particular file. Is anyone installing it? It will take some time to download it. Okay, great. So like, let me just show you how it will do. Like it will take some time and it will start downloading like this. Okay, like this it will do. So I already have it. So that's why it will not install it. So from GTTS, import GTTS. So we are from, this is the module name, and from this we are importing this particular function. Right? And then text equals to input, enter the text, means we are asking the user to enter the text. And GTTS text equals to test, means whatever input is given by the user, we are passing it to here. And language equals to whatever language you want. HI is used for representing Hindi here. And if you just leave it without anything, then also means it will just try to check that whether Hindi is there or not. Then tts.save is the command which is used to save this file. So let's save it here. Let me just write down Python 20 July. So let me run this. And whatever I will say, it will convert it into speech. Sorry, whatever I will write. So enter the text. It is asking me to enter the text. Hello everyone. We will learn to build up a personal voice assistant. This is the line I have written, and press enter. So at the moment you can see this is my file available, means there is no file with such name, right? There's no file in this folder with such name. I'll press enter. And you can see it has completed execution. And you can see Python 20 July.mp3. Let me just open this folder. Right, so I am going to play this file. You can see 20th July.
Hello everyone, we will learn to build up a personal voice assistant.
Was that voice audible to you?
Hello everyone, we will
Yes,
learn
sir.
to build up a personal
Yes,
voice
sir.
assistant.
Right, so this is how you can convert any text into speech using this particular library. Then aside from that, now the next thing is it is creating an MP3 file. So if you want to create a voice assistant with it, you can do that, but it will be a hectic task because every time you need to have multiple MP3 files saved and you need to run them again and again. So the best part is we will move on with a further option. Like if you want to read about this GTTS, you can read it from the pypi.org. Like GTTS here, 2.2.4. And this is about this particular module. This is the sample code being given. These are the documentations and all, how it is actually working internally. All that information can be taken in from this particular part. If you want to read about more about the documentations of how these things are happening, you can read more about this. So over this, generally, this is the command that is being given. So each module will have the command available, that how it will be used. Right, so that is how it can be done. Now, the next thing that we have is, let me just erase it from here. PyTTSX3 module. So this is the another module that we are going to use. So PyTTSX3. So this is the module that we'll be using up. Now with PyTTSX3, guys, there are some issues that some of you might face with the versions. Some of them, like if you install it, it might not work directly. So you might need to install a certain version of it in order to run it completely at your system. So install this library using pip install PyTTSX3. PyTTSX3. Pip install PyTTSX3 is the command. Now in this, you can see you may receive certain errors out here. So no module name Win32 client, no module name Win32. This sort of errors can be encountered. In case if you encounter these errors, do let me know. I'll try to help you out over this. Anyone trying to install it? Yes, guys, is anyone trying to install this library PyTTSX3? Now this is the command exclamation pip install this particular part. Once done, let me know about it. Okay, now this is a sample code which is already given over the website also. Import PyTTSX3 engine initialization. We need to initiate it first. And then whatever text you want to get converted into speech, write it here, engine.run and wait. This is the basic test code. So let's run it.
Good evening.
So you can hear whatever is written, it will convert it.
Good evening.
Was that audible to you?
Good evening.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, so that is how. Now in this case, you can see we don't have to download any MP3 file. Means we don't need to create any MP3. It is on the fly converting it into speech. So whatever is written, it will just speak up that text. Right, that's the beauty of this. Then not run, sir. Shashank, is this installed? Have you installed the particular thing? The code is available here over the documentation also. BS, I'll tell you just a minute. Now the next thing, the next sample code is also available, changing voice, rate and volume. So we can change in the voices over it. Now those who are having Linux and all, they need to take care of this particular file. There are certain things that could be taken care of. So import PyTTSX3, engine PyTTSX3 in it. After that, rate. Because when you convert it into speech, it is quite at a fast pace. So optimum is around 200 to 210 you can set. Rate engine.get property rate. Print rate, that what is the current voice rate. And then engine.set property rate, comma 210. We are setting it around 210. Then volume you can set. And after that, we have the voices option. Get property voices, voice engine.set property voices 0 ID. Now in your case, guys, you will be having only 2, 0 and 1. In my case, I am already having more than that because I have already installed the things. So that installation part, I will tell you tomorrow how we can download Hindi audio or Indian accent in case of English. So I'll tell you tomorrow about that thing, how we can download the files. At the moment, you can try 0 and 1. and it will change the voice over here. Engine say hello, my current speaking rate is this, run and wait, engine and stop. So let me just share this code. So if I run this now,
Hello world. My current speaking rate is 200.
right, this was one, and let me just comment it and let me just play the first one.
Hello world. My current speaking rate is 210.
So this was a Hindi female accent for English. This particular voice is Hindi voice and Hindi accent, not related to English. That's why if you listen to it, you will feel a touch of Indian touch in that.
Hello world. My current speaking rate is 210.
Right, that thing I will tell you tomorrow how to download these voices in the context, because this thing needs to be done with a Windows registry part. We need to play with the other things not related to coding. We need to make changes into the Windows section and all. Then basically, this is another code that is not available there. You can copy this. Yes, you can create a MP3 file also using PyTTSX3, but it is of no use to have a MP3 in this case, because we need to convert a lot of on-the-fly commands, so we cannot save these files again and again. So this code will actually help you to get how many voices are available in your code, in your computer system. So if I run this, you can see I have a lot of things available. Like one of them is David Microsoft United States. Another one that I have with me is Kalpana Hindi. Then another one that I have with me is Hemant Hindi. And then the next one is Zira. So for you, I guess only Zira and this David will be there. English based United States, Zira and David. So for you guys, at 1, it will be showing female, I guess. For me, it is at 3rd index.
Hello world. My current speaking rate is 210.
Right, so you can reduce it also if you feel it is quite quick.
Hello world. My current speaking rate is 210.
Right? Is that clear to everyone? How to read audio files in Python? You want to read an audio file into text. That is a different process, right? In that you may need to have a different sort of a thing. Either you can do one thing is like this text to speech, sorry, speech to text, what we did, that could be done with the help of audio file also. Like you can have an audio file and you can get it converted into text with the help of GTDS also. So there is a way out to do that particular part. Is this point clear to everyone how we can use PyTTSX3 and GTDS? Yes, guys, is that clear to everyone? Okay, great. So we will be doing the further code tomorrow, that how we can create a different thing. And we'll also cover up the speech recognition part. So today we have covered up to text to speech part, right? So I'll share this coding file day after tomorrow once we complete it, because this is a complete file in which all the things are there. So I'll share this file. I'll try to share this file because tomorrow we'll not be able to write down all these codes and all. Yes, Varsha, you'll get the today's session recording. You'll get it. I'll try to share this code by today itself so that you guys can have this code at your end tomorrow. Because like you can see, if I show you the code for tomorrow's project that we are going to do, it is this project. and this is not being feasible for us to write it at the same time and all of you doing the code side by side. So I'll share this file. I'll explain this entire line by line and how we can make the tweaks to it so that everyone is being able to do this. And in case if time allows us, we'll also try this Hindi based voice assistant, like how we can create a Hindi voice assistant also. So do show up tomorrow during the session. Don't skip in the tomorrow session, because tomorrow it's going to be completely exciting part that whatever we did in these 2 days, you will actually learn of the stuff, how to implement it in the form of an object, like a project now. So don't miss it out. Let me just show you a glimpse of how it speaks Hindi.
नमस्ते, मैं आप सभी को वेबिनार के लिए आमंत्रित करता हूं। बिना प्रतीक्षा किए वेबिनार के लिए अभी रजिस्टर करें।
Right, so this is how the Hindi accent can be done.
नमस्ते, मैं आप सभी को वेबिनार के लिए आमंत्रित करता हूं। बिना प्रतीक्षा किए वेबिनार के लिए अभी रजिस्टर करें।
And if I try to read it with English accent only, then you will feel a bit different. It will not read it because they can't convert it into that. Right, so I cannot use this thing. Only the Hindi accent of voices, like here you can see Hindi India. This can only read it. So you guys can add on these voices.
नमस्ते,
by
मैं
the
आप
speech
सभी को
package.
वेबिनार के लिए आमंत्रित करता हूं। बिना प्रतीक्षा किए वेबिनार के लिए अभी रजिस्टर करें।
Barsha, you cannot add on the voice of yours directly because it is related to Windows setting at the moment. So like if I show you speech, this speech setting, if you go to the speech setting of your particular part, then here you can see I have installed Hindi and English India, both of these. So you guys may download these speech part, search speech, and then you have these manage voices, add voices option, click over this, and from here you can select, like you write Hindi here. I already have it, so it is not showing it. It will show you and just click on add. But this will not do the purpose of coding part. That is different, that I'll tell you tomorrow. This is basically like here you can see voice assistant available. You can select the voices. So it will just allow you to have this voice for your this voice assistant available in your laptop, but not for the code. So you can install this English India and Hindi package, right? Just add voices, click on this, whatever voices you want, like the accent, different accent. If you want, if anyone is from Tamil or some place around, so they can try this. I only understand Hindi and Punjabi, basically. Punjabi is not there. Some of the certain languages are there available from the Google end. So those who are comfortable with any of these languages, they can try in that language also, right? So just install these voice packages. This will install in your Windows. But tomorrow I will tell you how to add on these for your coding part. For that, we need to make certain file changes that I'll tell you tomorrow. Right? So anyone have any query? Anything anyone wants to ask?
Guys, like if you have any doubt, you can ask directly to sir, or you can ask via chat also. Otherwise, we can end up the session, right, sir?
Yes.
And guys, do join tomorrow, because this will be the last day for our workshop, and you will also get to learn about the project as sir already told. And we will tell you more details about the project submission and certificate tomorrow as well. So get tuned with us. And if you have any doubts, you can mail us, or you can like contact in our WhatsApp group as well.
Okay. Okay, guys. So that's all from my side. We'll catch you all tomorrow. And I'm excited regarding the tomorrow session, because tomorrow we'll be getting to know a lot of stuff and hope to see you all tomorrow. So that's all from my side for today. Bye bye. Take care, everyone. Stay safe and keep on learning.